Good morning.
All right, we are back. PT Breakfast Club, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Jimmy McKay, Dave Kittle will jump in when he is available. Tony Maritato. So, Jimmy, let's just go right into this post. I don't know if you have it queued up.
Yeah,
Chris Miller.
I'm going to bring it up.
Chris Miller is a golf performance. There's Dave. Golf performance PT down in Florida. He, I've been following Chris for a long time. He's been doing cool stuff for a long time. This is a video he created showing the inside of his facility, beautiful facility. And he shared a program that he's launching where for $199 a month, you get 24/7 access to this golf simulator. Now, I'm not a golfer, so I'm going to do my best. You can play any course. You get all your stats. It measures everything. It's like a man cave on steroids. Exactly what we want. What was your first? You shared this with me. You found it. What were you thinking?
I mean, just brilliant. Like he understood the life cycle of a golfer. Golfers are like runners. Like we're big dumb animals. Like we'll pay anything like to play golf one more time if we can sneak in around, in between tornadoes. You're like, there's a 2-hour window. Like we'll sneak it in, right? So as you can see in the video that we're showing, it's a gym, right? Full like gym, rubber floors, heavy stuff, kettlebells, whatever. And then he walks you through this door and it's Shangri-La. It looks like a double bay, the badass golf simulators right off, like green carpet, hitting mats, the whole nine. So these are the toys golfers want to play with. So instead of him just saying, I've got this gym, lift strong, hit bombs down the middle, he's like, come play too. So he's thinking of a vertical. He's taking this whole life cycle of like, what do golfers need? And then you and I started playing around with like, well, what next? What accessories could we put on it? We can get into that. But this is brilliant because golfers don't just want to do like single-legged rotational explosive exercises. They want to hit golf balls, and they want the golf balls not to just be into a net. You can play Augusta on these golf simulators. You can play like legit courses and stuff like that. Again, I'm a crappy golfer, but my best friend would drool over this. For $200 a month, it's a layup.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I love it. The only like area that I would say maybe is like a ticky-tacky suggestion is the video, instead of just showing like that long rectangular clinic area, I would start the video with the simulator, then show some of the clinic space, and then come back to the simulator, like the clinic space very briefly, and not like a slower walkthrough. But again, that's just such like a ticky-tacky little thing. Like overall, clear offer is really important. It tells exactly what you get for what dollar amount. Also in Florida, I love how he says like, play anytime, even when it's whatever he said, like really hot or during thunderstorms or whatever. So like those things he obviously knows his target customer and client. So it's awesome.
He goes,
I was going to say,
quick,
we have a 24-hour fitness, or no, it's Anytime Fitness across the street. There's multiple places like this. And even when I was in Sarasota in South Florida, there were places where you would buy either an equity stake or you would just pay a membership and you had a key. And it was a 24-hour access facility. I've never heard of a physical therapy clinic doing something like that. I think we're so freaked out, risk averse, so terrified somebody is going to fall or get hurt. But we see these proven models. It got me thinking. I was like, why wouldn't I make it available as a premium service? Hey, you're going through rehab. Rehab is a 24/7, commitment. This is your full-time job. Here's your key. Here's your gold card membership. You have 24-hour access, even if you never use it.
Right.
But this is a service that is sold to allow people to come into the clinic because they're familiar. They've done their therapy here. They know what's going on. I've never seen another therapist do something like that.
So let's go through the things that it includes. As you just mentioned, so 24/7 access to the gym, but also 24/7 access to the simulators. If you know what these simulators cost, and I was pricing a good one, because this is one of those things where if you spend like $2,000, you get crappy. So it's like, don't spend any money, like don't get it. You sort of have to hit a tipping point. And I've talked to a few people who've done this, and it's not cheap because like some of these things just don't do it. So right off the bat, for $200 a month, access to the simulators 24/7, you win. Very first bucket, got it, done. $200 a month, I can simulate, right? Then 24/7 access to the gym. I don't know what gym you're paying for in a major city like this. That's going to be $200 a month. Yeah, I guess a little bit, but not with the simulators. They don't have that. Free TPI assessment and custom program. And then he goes into like a little bit like feel loose, have less pain, hit more bumps. So the TPI assessment, I don't know what they charge for those, but those aren't cheap. Like, because the TPI certification is number one, expensive to get, and then you have to re-up it every couple of years. So you get a TPI assessment. Like, that'd be awesome. Like, smart dude, if he was like, I'll give you a free assessment every year as long as you maintain membership. That would be another thing I would add. Play in weekly tournaments at tour courses. Like, hey, this week we're going to all, because it's Masters week, we're going to play Augusta. Like, he's gamifying. He's already gamifying golf, obviously, because it's a game, but he's making people compete because that's what golfers like to do. Like, and if there's a perfect setup with golf called a handicap system. So even if like Tony's way better than me, I still feel like good about competing because there's a handicap system. And then he highlights what Dave did. Play. It's in Tampa. Play when it's too hot. Play when it's muggy. Play when there's thunderstorms because there's a lot of them. And then he adds access to coaches, trainers, physical therapists, and a stretch therapy service. Plus, he goes one extra step. I think I didn't even read this the first time. There's a co-working space. Where are you, honey? I'm working. I'm working. We know where the deals are done. They're done on the 19th hole. $199 a month. Cancel anytime. So he's like, if you're risk averse, I don't know, pay $200, use it for a month, and then bail. I think you're gonna like it so much you come back. It's not a good idea. It's a great idea.
It seems like he's stacking so many things to try to make this an irresistible offer. So even the TPI assessment, like he's going to basically, him or one of his therapists, I don't know if he's got therapists, but they're going to lose money on that first interaction, right? So like maybe it's the current, he's saying this to Facebook or his email list or whatever. So maybe there's no customer acquisition cost. So he's like offering this to his followers, his previous patients, whatever. For that, he's trying to make this an irresistible offer for someone to do a couple things. One, take the credit card out and take them up on this offer. But then also more and more, it seems like people are hesitant, like consumers are hesitant to sign up for subscriptions, like whether it's a gym or some, whether it's a streaming service or whatever. Because then it's like, oh, if I don't use it or if I don't like it, then I have to like go and like do a thing. I have to like go find how to cancel it or whatever. So he's saying like easy peasy on how to cancel anytime, month to month. But you have to sweeten the offer like this. You have to make it an irresistible offer. You have to make it so that golfers in Tampa read this and would think like that would be like dumb if I didn't sign up for it.
Right. He took the bullets out of everybody's. Well, it's a simulator. I'm in Tampa. I come here because I want to play golf outside. Why would I come inside? Dude, it's hot and muggy and there's tornadoes and whatever. And you need to do this other stuff. You do. So instead of doing this, plus this, dude, it's all in. He understood the price value seesaw. He understood it and he overloaded on price. He quadrupled down on price. So then Tony, go ahead, Dave.
I'm curious as to when it's 24/7 access, if there's some digital scheduler so that I don't show up at like, do I have to schedule a time or I just pop at any time? And it's like the old school batting cages where I got to wait for Tony to finish. And then I'm sitting there and I'm waiting 7 minutes or I'm waiting 20 minutes. I don't know. Right. So maybe that's something that we can ask him. I don't know.
The other thing is with those simulators, it's not just one person. Like you play around, like Jimmy hits the ball. Like you can, like the good ones anyway. It's like Jimmy hits the ball. A smart one would be like Dave started on hole 1. Now he's on hole 7. Jimmy walks in at 7 a.m. I want to jump in and play in. But like, yes, brilliant. Like, so understand the friction points and reducing them.
So we're therapists. Therapists are amazing at finding problems. Let's find some of the problems. What would make this a failure? What would make this not work? Because it sounds amazing with all the stuff that we're saying, but what are either the blind spots that maybe Chris isn't seeing? What are some of the biggest issues? I'll tell you the first thing that came to my mind. He needs to get the word out to the right people, right? Like, how is he going to market this? How is he going to get the information out? That's why I put his stuff into ChatGPT and I started to play around with some sales copy because I'm like, one, he doesn't have a huge social media following. I don't know what his networking is like there, but I can see this being the best kept secret in town and failing because nobody knows about it. So is he going to put paid ads behind it? Is he going to do the direct mail? Is he going to go out and get local pros to come in? Is he going to host, events locally so people see what he's doing? What is he going to do? But what other problems is he maybe not seeing right now that need to be addressed?
Well, let's do the problem list first. Everybody's gonna have a problem. All businesses, if no one knows about it, it's gonna fail. So let's do the problem, and then we'll do some solutions. So that's a big problem that every business is gonna have. If you don't know about it, you're the best kept secret in town. That sucks. What else can you see, Dave? From this? Yeah, I don't think you need to be a golfer. I actually think if you're not a golfer, this might be easier to see.
Other problems.
Why would this in 12 months if this failed? Why?
I don't know if I doubt this is actually going to fail. He might have some projections of like how many people, how much recurring revenue could come from this. And like to Tony's point, I think the biggest challenge with that, like if he thinks it's going to be, I don't know, an extra 100K in revenue or even 50K in revenue or whatever, if he thinks it's going to be some number, the way that that's not going to be hit, those targets or those assumptions, is that, like Tony said, not getting enough word out. So, there might be maybe you sweeten the offer even more. Maybe you do like a lower dollar amount for the first 30 days. No, Tony's saying no.
I think keep it high so it feels. I mean, a round of golf is $200.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think what he's gonna find if he does get the word out, he's gonna find that 199 is ridiculously low. I think he's gonna need to go anywhere upwards of 499. I mean, guys, it's 2025. Like we're stuck in like 20-year ago price points. Yeah, 20 years ago, 199 would have been reasonable. But go ahead, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, it really depends on like how well he knows his folks. Like also like how close is this to the dollar amount that he charges for like one-on-one visits? I think he does some cash services and maybe he does Medicare. I'm not sure. Yeah. So
all right.
he should know his target customer, his client, his patient. What do they, like Jimmy said, like what, I don't know what it is, but if it's $200 a round down there, like whatever it is. Also, like I'm sure he's done this, like he could have asked and pitched different folks like, hey, before I even am buying this 10, 20, $30,000 golf simulator, I don't know how much they cost. I think Jimmy put it somewhere or Tony put it somewhere. Asking those folks, like, is it something that you'd be interested in? And then if they are, like, you could have even done pre-sales of the membership before you even bought it. That's also a huge takeaway for anyone watching or listening. Take the same offer, put it on your Facebook page, send it to your patients and clients, and see if folks are going to sign up for a $100, $200, $300 a month membership as founders rates or whatever you want to call it, to get folks to pay upfront and say, that you're procuring different technology or whatever for the golf simulator. You could actually offer this ahead of time. So yeah.
Remember the Van Westendorp pricing model questions? Those are 4 questions. Like these are the questions you actually, because if you say like, hey, I'm charging this, is it too much? Everyone's gonna say yes, right? Because they're thinking I'm your buddy if you ever go through with this, or I'm your client. Like, so the Van Westendorp pricing model questions are: at what price would you consider the product to be so inexpensive you would question its quality? I think if you drop the price right there, you're thinking, can't be that good. At what price would you consider the product to be a bargain or a great buy for the money? At what price would you begin to think the product is getting expensive, but you'd still consider buying it? And at what price would you consider the product to be so expensive you would not consider buying it? And then you take those 4 numbers because they're ricochet questions, and then your answer is somewhere in the middle. Like that's the thing. But I think it's understanding what a round of golf costs, and I'm pretty sure it's like especially in Tampa, 200 plus. This is 1 round of golf.
Yeah, those questions are trying to triangulate around the approximate dollar amount, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, are you actually going to take your credit card out,
correct,
and put it into a web page, a secure checkout order form or whatever, and sign up? That's one. And then also, what's the lifetime value of those clients? How long are they sticky? How long do they stay as a monthly recurring member?
The only discount I might give is if you sign up for a year. If you said here's 12 months, I might give you. I would have no problem being like, here's 10, 20%, maybe 10, 20%. It might be as high as I would go. So in terms of getting the word out, paid ads, obviously, right? Geofencing, paid ads. I would talk to the people that he mentioned in his ad, which is TPI professionals. Like he might be a TPI certified PT, and let's just assume he's not a golf pro. There's a difference, right? A PT is not a triathlon coach. Maybe they might be, but they might not be. So use that network. How do I help you get clients? How can this thing I just bought feed you? How do I help you? I've got this thing. Hey, by the way, you know what? I'm having beers on the 19th hole at my thing. Let's all get in here, pro professionals from all the local courses. It's a quick way to get free rounds of golf too, right? Those guys are going to let you come to the golf course, right? How do I help you? How do I put brochures for your golf course or your golf school in my simulator bay? Or hey, could I get your golf course on my screen? Can I play that? Is that a playable course to get good at? And you can do that. Do you have leagues right now? Great. Would I give a discount? We can work something out, right? Buy one of both of ours and get something like, the last thing I might move was price. So that I love people, because people are going to be their best sellers if they feel like it's in the best interest, like an affiliate program partnership.
And then of course we've got interviews. Hey, get in here, Golf Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do an interview. Let's record some content. Let's answer some of the most common questions, put that out on social media. So I think Jimmy was starting to say this. Let's take it this direction. Okay, so now we've got the person coming in. We've got the monthly membership. Where are we going with that? Where is the next level of value coming in? Jimmy mentioned Topgolf. We have one here locally. They have amazing food. I'll go there just for the food. I don't even care to swing a golf club. I'll just go hang out, watch my kids play. And yeah. So like, okay, maybe he doesn't want to do a hot kitchen, but what are some things that he can bring in? I know here in Ohio, there is, and I looked this up before we started, BYOB business licenses. So there's specific laws and rules, but if you follow them, you can have customers bring their own drinks, their own alcohol, liquor, whatever they want to bring. What else? What other services is this community looking for?
Are either of you like golfers? Like, would you consider yourself a golfer? No. Okay. No. So I am a C- golfer, but bringing your own beers or alcohol to the golf course is a sport because it's not allowed, but the golf course isn't going to search your bags, but everybody does it, but nobody does it. But then there's a cart girl, right? And it's always a cart girl. I mean, I'm sure there's cart guys. I'm not trying to discriminate. But there's a cart girl. Like drinking in golf is like they are in lockstep. So
I'll be right back.
I'm sorry to run you to alcohol, but like alcohol is a thing. Alcohol makes me a better golfer in my mind. Or if I'm a crappy golfer, it makes me not care about how crappy of a golfer I am. So yeah, like there's a social network. We haven't even touched upon the fact that when he said co-working space, I was sort of joking about like getting away from the spouse or whatever. Business deals are done in golf. So like this is a
business deals can be done on the digital golf course.
They 1,000. Yeah. I mean, like in-person digital right on the screen. So like this is a thing. I might suggest he zhuzh up that gym a little bit. I feel like his golf bays looked cool with the grass floor, but I might zhuzh up the aesthetics of that gym, make it feel like it's worth, $1,000 a month, even if you're only charging them $400. But the business aspect of golf, like you could write this off if you're doing meetings there, because he said co-work space. Like you might want to talk to a tax attorney, but like you might be able to write some of this off because it's a membership to be able to bring clients in there. So food, alcohol, and networking for business is a layup. Partnerships with people who feed the ecosystem in local courses, layup to me.
Dave?
I'm good.
All right. So let's take this. Let's pivot just a little bit. I shared a post about a company called DBAT. And basically these are like super nice, super high end. Now we're getting into Dave's world. Batting cages, they're all indoor. I remember you'd get the tokens, you'd go down to the literal like chain link outdoor batting cage. These things are like the top golf of batting cages. So, I look at Chris's situation and I have no idea. I'm guessing. My hunch is he really wanted this equipment for himself as much as he wanted it for his business. Now he's looking at it as like, how else can I cover the cost of this? So for other things, other therapists that are out there that are like, man, I've got this hobby. It's a really expensive hobby, but I'm super passionate about it. How do I monetize this hobby to make a little extra money, leverage it? What are some other things that are out there? We've got the batting cages. So Jimmy, I don't know if you're a hockey player, but like, what about something like this for, I don't play hockey, never been on skates. What about hockey?
They
know,
have
like any of these sports or any recreational activity, get into a booth for singing. Like my son loves singing. He sings constantly. I bet you could bring something in. I talked to a speech language pathologist about singing and voice coaching and stuff like that. Like there are so many directions you can take. Any ideas for you guys off the top of your heads before we move to the next topic?
Synthetic ice is plastic ice. You could have a little rink somewhere and you work on shooting. Like I would take hockey and break it down to one. Is it shooting? Is it goaltending? Is it skating? And then what can I put into a facility to specialize in that? I've got a buddy who locally runs he's got a pool business. They used to install pools, but now he's moving the market because the margins in pools are getting smaller. And he's doing like bougie hot tubs and infrared spas for people's homes. He's got those they're longer than a hot tub and they blow water at you so you can swim in place.
I've seen that.
So you could have a swim spa and they're expensive, but they're not crazy. Like you could own this, but it's a little on the high end. So if you don't want to buy it and I just want access to it and you had that at your facility, I would buy in. Now it's about traffic. I did a Blueprint business episode with a PT who's doing those cryo chambers. She's doing fire and ice. She's doing the cryo chamber and the infrared. They're a wellness facility. It's a Trojan horse because she's a PT, right? There's nowhere on PT. It doesn't say PT on the sign at all, but she's a PT. So you come in for the bougie wellness. She does bachelorette parties and stuff like that. Come in and have some mimosas and, oh, everybody's cold and we're getting rejuvenated. Look, shush up my body, whatever. And through the back door, she's sitting there going, I'm a PT. I've got eyes on you. So, I mean, I love hearing stories like this. I don't think Chris's idea is good. I think are we franchising this, Chris? Where are we coming upstate New York? Let's do this thing, bro.
Someone commented pickleball. Who was that? Colleen something?
Yeah, Colleen Green.
So, like with the simulator, I don't know. How could you use?
Well, I don't think
you do pickleball with a simulator.
I think what Tony's saying is like take the sport and how can you gamify it, right? Like, yeah, maybe you're bold. Maybe you understand that pickleball courts are popping up. Like they're tearing down Little League fields and tennis courts and they're putting pickleball courts up. What if you at municipalities, what if you said, screw that, I'll buy some square footage and I'll create the facility for it. You create the stage, to use Tony's singing analogy, and then you get to come sing and dance on it for me. That's what Chris did for golf, right? Like what could you do? What could you do that the local rink that I play old man beer hockey at twice a week. They have a shooter tutor. It's like Blaze Pods, but with pucks, right? The light up and you try to hit it or whatever. I've never seen it in use. It's sitting there behind a locked office, but it's just, they're not marketing it. They haven't understood their target audience because a buddy of mine's kid plays in a tournament in a different time zone, like every other weekend. They are spending not a little bit of money, a ton of money. And I know even the fact that I'm in rural New York, there are guys that are NHL quality guys are trying to get to the league, even in this area, in the New York area, that live around here. You hire that guy to be your guy, right? That's your guy. And then have him run the machine and you come up with a deal, a split or use rink time, but it's underutilized in my opinion. I think this is a good idea.
One last thing, as we're talking, I think setting up a league for the golf simulator is genius because you'll have some percentage of folks from the league that might sign up for this monthly recurring membership so that they can practice extra on their own whenever they want. Perhaps consider you're in Tampa, so sometimes it's hot, like probably now and in the summer, and then it's stormy and rainy or whatever.
Right.
You could also potentially have leagues like before sunrise. Like, golfers are crazy. We have a family friend who's a cardiologist. He plays a round of golf in the mornings sometimes before he goes to work and sees patients for 8 to 12 hours or whatever. He's a maniac. You could have 11 p.m. or 12 midnight golf leagues, like Twilight Golf League, because at that time slot, you can't go golf outside, regardless of the weather.
You can. They have
his simulator, not
they have golf things with lights that you push a button at the tee box and because they thought of that. Golf courses don't make any money at 2 a.m.
Every golf course has lights.
Not every. but they have glow in the dark balls that some courses around here will do every once in a while. But they have like stadium lighting. You push a button and the whole thing's lit for 20, 15 minutes or however long it takes to play a hole of golf. It's insane because they're like, screw it. We'll just put lights on the course. And some idiot did it, and that idiot laughed all the way to the bank. It's not common, but it happens.
So do you guys remember speed golf?
Oh, yeah. You get like a minute. It's like a stroke per minute. So you run.
Yeah, these guys would take their bare essential clubs. They would run through the whole course. There was a time component to it. Yeah. But you take something like that and you're like, well, what's the biggest pain point for someone like me who is not a golfer, but would even consider golf? I can't invest 4 hours. I can't invest time. I don't. So if I could go in and just play 3 holes and then go hit the gym and go to work, or I can do these other things. Yeah. Of course, you could have a father-son, father-daughter, mother-son league. You can have all these different variations on it. But again, the biggest barrier is nobody knows about it. Yep. How are people going to find out? How are people going to understand the things that you're offering?
So for Chris, I think you take Tony's idea, what Tony and Dave probably would have done already, which is you invite everybody that I just mentioned on the list. I would invite your best players from the local in-person courses. I would invite your TPI golf coaches, and I would be like, hey guys, it's beer and wine and let's just whack some balls around. And then I would video the crap out of it, right? This is where you bring in a videographer. It says, we need 100 reels out of this. So bring 3 people, shoot, edit. And you get them like a movie premiere. Like Broadway's great. On opening night, when people come out and like, how is Les Miserables? Oh my God, I was so touched. And oh my God, it's like, get that 150 times. Who cares if they had a couple of soda pops on the course? And let them sell it for you.
Let's do a green carpet event.
Green carpet. That's
yes.
So smart. Do the green carpet, right? Like come up with like we have a keg of beer that sits on the counter at the local hockey rink. Right? There's 4 men's leagues, A, B, C, and D. And we get our name, our stupid team name on the thing. And every time you walk in with your wife and we won it 6 years ago. What's your big dumb trophy? Maybe it's a WWE belt that you get to do. And who's got the whatever, the green carpet belt. Yeah. Have fun with it, man.
All right, Dave, we were talking on a thread. It had something to do with manual therapy. I said Dave would be in for this conversation, and I completely forgot.
Yeah, what is
Scott's here. Maybe Scott can remind us if you don't remember. What were we going to talk about?
Was that on LinkedIn?
I think it was, and I don't have access to my LinkedIn account here.
I got
Scott,
it. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. What were we talking about related to manual therapy and some other stuff? In the meantime, while you're doing that, I got in. Go ahead. You think?
No, I got it. So you posted on LinkedIn a day ago the post that says so this is Tony's post. When does Medicare stop paying for the bike? Lesson from the total knee journey.
Uh-huh.
All right. So it was a long post. Do you want to pull it up or do you want me to review it?
I don't have it. You can just give me the highlights and what we were going to talk about.
Just lost it. All right. So, but Scott had chimed in and commented, but the post was more about, is the bike warm up still a covered service under Medicare? Tony says no. And, going into, there's a critical concept here. An intervention may still be helpful, but that doesn't make it covered. Doesn't make it a covered service.
Yeah.
Tony drops some references in the link. Guys, if you're not following Tony Maritato on LinkedIn, make sure you connect with him, Anthony Maritato. But Scott Embry commented, and Scott said he was about to post something similar from his recent post. Scott says he finds it interesting how manual therapy is reimbursed at a lower rate than most all other therapy services, yet requires the most skill and training as a PT or OT to practice at the top of our license. This would be a great topic to discuss on the next episode of Right Now,
PT
the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. So, and I hear that a lot. I hear that all the time. In fact, when I'm teaching my Medicare course, the main thing that I emphasize when we get to this section is I love to pull stuff up that shocks and appalls therapists. So I go into, Medicare Mac portal, I pull up the fee schedule. I'm like, look, therapeutic activity, $32 reimbursement, therapeutic exercise, $30 reimbursement, manual therapy, $25 reimbursement. And I reference, I'm like, look, you know, if I'm a manual therapist, I'm not doing manual on 2 or 3 patients at a time, but I bet I could do good therapeutic exercise for 2 or 3 patients at the same time. If I'm a pelvic floor therapist, I'm not doing manual therapy on 3 pelvic floor patients at the same time, one hand here and one hand there. So like there are limitations on manual therapy. Now I'm going to disagree with Scott because I think there are a lot of great exercise-based therapists and other therapists that don't even need manual therapy at all. I'm not going to say it requires the most skill. It requires some knowledge and some skill. But I'm also not a great manual therapist. So maybe it's my bias. Point being, the differentiation, and this is a really hard concept for therapists to grasp, and I'm pushing the envelope with this idea a little bit. There are things that we have invested. The golf simulator, that's an investment. That was a financial investment that was made by Chris Miller. There are things that we have invested in that go way above and beyond what is covered by Medicare at, you know, the base threshold. Medicare will pay for entry-level physical therapy, period. They don't pay more for better physical therapy. They don't pay more for more education. They don't pay more for better equipment. This goes to Jimmy's conversation about the headset for the vestibular therapist assessment. So we went down this rabbit hole and we were like, guys, realistically, if I was an entry-level therapist doing entry-level therapy, that is what Medicare is paying for. Once I finish that entry-level plan of care, anything above and beyond that really should be self-pay, should be charged a premium for. Why would anybody ever want to learn more, be better, do better if they couldn't charge for that? And Medicare, you know, Medicare is like, yeah, if you want to give me a Rolls Royce for free, heck yeah, I'm gonna pay for a Honda Civic. Give me the Rolls Royce. But we as therapists need to start identifying where this extra value is within the confines of Medicare reimbursement or any third-party payer contract. And we need to stop giving away all of this insane extra value that we're not being paid for. We're not being incentivized for. I probably went way off the rails on that, but go ahead, Dave, bring me back in.
So, okay, a couple things. I know what you mean by manual therapy might not be the most top of license as Scott describes it, because you could, Tony, you've given a great rebuttal and example previously on the show where you said getting 2 or 3 patients at the same time or any time to move more and exercise and build that empowerment and build those healthy habits and lifestyle components and changes arguably could be more valuable to those people, to those patients and clients. That's actually, like, I think the best rebuttal I've ever heard regarding movement-based therapy, therapeutic exercise, why even insurance pays more for that versus manual therapy. But then there's other owners like Mick Aglani. He had like 3 or 4 or 5 locations. He sold them to Alliance Physical Therapy Private Equity. And even though the manual therapy code was billed and paid at a lower rate than therapeutic exercise, he would only hire and keep therapists and train therapists who were doing hands-on, some component of hands-on. Now, they don't have to be doing 20, 30, 40 minutes of manual therapy per patient, but there is the argument of the therapeutic touch and the therapeutic feel and, building a therapeutic alliance. Not everyone wants that. Tony wants, water, hot tub based massage, but he doesn't want a massage on land. It's a joke between us on the show. And then you also don't want to deliver it, or you'll do manual therapy. You'll do soft touch, like over the clothes, whatever. So like everyone does something differently. But the manual therapy code is also for like tactile cueing, right? So like if Tony needs tactile cueing from me, no, it's not. I thought it was.
There's things that fall within manual therapy. And if I reference Medicare specifically, soft tissue mobilization is specifically listed in the Medicare guideline. There's 5 things, manual lymphatic drainage being one of them, but there's 5 things that are listed within the Medicare guideline under manual therapy CPT code. So there's some interpretation, but then there's some objective measure. So I'm not going to say it's not. I didn't mean to respond.
So hold on a minute. Is this something that we fundamentally still go around in circles about in our profession?
Yes, absolutely.
Why is manual therapy reimbursed so low compared to other PT services? despite requiring greater skill. It's that second part that I'm like, does it? Scott says yes.
You know what? I have to take a side here. Yes, it does. Here's an example. There's new grad physical therapists. I'm not even going to say any names, but a new grad physical therapist who, let's say, used to be a personal trainer or was like a semi bodybuilder or someone that like exercised a lot. They graduate physical therapy school in their first couple years, the first year of school, first year as a new grad, first 1 or 2 or 3 years out of school. You don't have the manual therapy skills. You don't understand, like, you don't know like how great your treatment's going to be necessarily. That takes months or years to get feedback from patients. And did I go too much? Did I go too soft? Am I doing soft tissue treatment? Am I doing joint mobilizations? Am I doing neurodynamics? Am I flossing a nerve? What PNF? Like, what am I doing? Someone that's a new grad, or even let's say someone that's shadowing as a physical therapy student, they don't even have to have their DPT license, and they can do the therapeutic movements and exercise with 2 or 3 or more patients that Tony's talking about. But you can't, to Scott's point that I now agree with. I was on the fence. I have to take Scott's side. No offense, Tony. I'm saying again, I'm against Tony once again. But for manual therapy skills to actually get people better, or to get, I don't know, it's necessarily better because it's kind of subjective, but it takes more time. It takes more time to build manual therapy skills. If we can agree on that, then
I don't know if we can, like, because there's been studies showing that like it doesn't. Like, I mean, how many of the studies? We can go to the extreme example, which is like
sham manual therapy studies.
I can palpate your psoas, and it's like, can you though? Can you though? Like, how much of it is like a little bit of theater?
Yeah.
And how much of it is like is that?
Here's the thing. And real quick for reference, if you go to CGS Medicare, that's my Medicare Mac, under manual therapy, there's 5 things listed. I mentioned manual traction, joint mobilization, myofascial release, and soft tissue mobilization, manual therapy, manual lymphatic drainage. Okay, so those are the 5 things that Medicare in my area lists under manual therapy. But the point in this is Medicare, and we're just using them as an example, is paying for manual therapy, not great manual therapy, not good manual therapy, not this is manual therapy that makes you better. You guys are in a different world. You're in a different league. You're talking professional sports versus 3rd grade little league. I can go out there right now and rub someone's back, pat them on the back a little bit, pinch them a little bit, like flick them a little bit, and they're going to have altered sensation, and I can call that manual therapy.
For 8 minutes.
It's one of those things where I'm not getting paid for the outcome. I'm not getting paid for how good or bad it feels. I'm not getting paid for any of that. I'm getting paid for the delivery of what is called manual therapy. I don't need special certification. I don't need any advanced degrees beyond my licensure. And this is the disconnect. So to Scott's point, you guys are delivering gold for the price of copper. I would say it's the price of lead, like seriously. We are confusing what we want to give, what we want to deliver, the experience we want to provide with what we are actually getting paid to do. There is a standard of care. It goes down to a minimum standard. That is what Medicare is paying for. And from the payer's perspective, I can't send the therapist's hands home with my patient. So where is the most value as a payer to make that patient stop therapy? It's exercise, it's functional activity, because those are the things that are going to get them out of there the quickest. And I, personal opinion, manual therapy is amazing. I would never take anything away from great manual therapists, but for decades, it's been used as a bribe to keep patients in the clinic, to keep them coming, to keep them utilizing more services. I'm shocked that payers will still even pay for manual therapy just because of the negative impact on the cost of therapy services. People quit manual therapy, they'll quit therapy quicker.
Scott asked, what professions can perform manual therapy? I quickly got a list. So I don't know if that helps or hurts his cause. Like, it's house. I think we're trying to sell like a skill that you can't, it's very difficult to measure, right?
Well, but my wife goes and gets a pedicure, and they mobilize her toe joints and they rub her feet and they do these things.
So because that person that rubs her feet has been doing it for 10 years, she's better than a new grad physical therapist. She's better than it. But is it manual therapy? Like, this is where we go round and round.
I think by definition it is. It's
Right.
not a covered service under Medicare because
No.
she doesn't have the letters after her name, but that person who does a pedicure, she is making my wife feel better. My wife is willing to pay the price for it, and it's a positive experience.
All right. I have a question for both of you guys. Have you ever thought of yourself as the hero in your own story? If you
I don't
had
know if I
access,
understand the question.
I think I used to when I was a new grad. I thought I was like, the best ever. And then after, I was gonna as we were like 10 minutes ago, I saw some of this on Facebook. I saw some of this action figure stuff on Facebook, and I was gonna ask you guys because I saw some of our colleagues on Facebook posting this stuff, and I was gonna say, what is this action figure thing? I cannot believe you threw this up here. You guys have to check out YouTube. Go to PT Pinecast, Learn Medicare Billing, or the Dave Kittle Show right now for this episode. Stop listening on iTunes or Spotify. Jump over to YouTube
at the 40-minute mark. So there's always these trends that go around. I don't know how they start. I wish I could figure it out so I could start one. But there was the one with the Funko Pop figurines. It's like a specific kind of figurine. That was like 6 months ago. Somebody just typed into ChatGPT, make me an action figure. And then these things started to pop up. I
didn't wear that shirt today. I wore the lavender one, not the blue one.
So what I've done is I asked ChatGPT what it knows about whoever I'm going to make the action figure about. And then it surprising because now it can search the web. It'll find a lot of information. And then it's like, give me some photos so I can get photorealistic. So I think I found like 5 or 6 photos of Dave. And
that's pretty good.
That's one iteration.
Jacked.
That's one iteration, right? I might have sent a picture of you doing the flex thing. But what I like about it is the accessories. Yeah. It's like laptop, phone. There's a pom-pom there because you're a cheerleader for other businesses.
Yeah. Okay.
Jump rope and barbell. And then Tony, what do you think your accessories would be based on what ChatGPT?
Here we go.
I have no idea.
His real estate.
Idea. Oh,
push button to educate. And you got a laptop.
Nice. The knee, of course, the knee.
How incredible is that?
Look, and again, look at the shirt. Look at the logo on the shirt.
It is
wow.
It is wow.
You have to send me that or share it or do something.
Tony might get that 3D printed. I think he actually wants that.
How bad? That's the thing. I was thinking about exactly that last night. Like, what's to stop me from making this? If I have to buy a 3D printer. I'm going to buy it for myself for Christmas maybe, but I've got one too. It's even got my tagline, the best conversation after happy hour. Welcome to ours. Push button to enter interview mode. I'm going to share these. Where should I share them? In our Facebook group, on LinkedIn? Because what I want people to do is look at them, but I want to see what theirs are. I want to see their version of that.
So you got that from what?
One prompt on ChatGPT, and I have it connected to Dolly.
Wow, that blows me away. Have you guys searched yourselves in any of the AIs?
A little, yeah, I have. Yep.
Yeah, I get messages all the time from people that are like, "Hey, I was asking ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, and your information came up." Jimmy asked yesterday maybe, about SEO and changing domains and stuff like that. I still think like traditional SEO is virtually worthless. I don't think SEO, the way it was even 2 years ago, has the power that it used to. But if you guys are listening and you haven't, go to ChatGPT, go to Amazon Alexa. I've asked that one also.
Really?
Like, go to any of these tools that are out there and say, "Hey, what do you know about Anthony Maritato, the physical therapist in Middletown?"
That's how I say it. That's how I say it to you. What do you know about? I'm like, give me some context. And I'm showing the new web page that Podpage was trying to sell me. And it would take me 6 months to build this page. And Tony knows how much I just hate websites and updating websites. So this does that. That's why I was asking, like, should I just jump ship or is that a bad idea? And I think what I'm hearing is just do it because it's gonna update everything automatically. But
has anyone ever seen Jimmy wearing a tie?
I've worn a tie.
Yeah, conferences.
I go out of my way now not to do that because I don't know. I just don't like it. But I have worn a tie.
When you had the orange suit on for Fox Rehab, was that with an orange tie or was it no tie?
I think it was with an orange tie. I bought that off of Appa Suits. That's a throwback. Suits. I'll find that picture.
Stephen Dunn, I'm a manual therapist and exercise therapist. Find the combo really helps. Absolutely. You know,
Totally,
there's
totally. I think I was just hung up on like, is that the highest skill, or wait, what was the actual, you know, it requires more skill or greater skill. And I'm like, does it? I don't know, man. Like we start to drift off into guruism. Like my kung fu is better than your kung fu.
Uh, I'm trying. I kind of see both sides of the argument, but the bad side of manual therapy would be like literally someone just gets their knee or their back rubbed for way too many minutes, and it's a waste of time. Where
But
like there's actually no benefit.
It's the McKay method of rubbing, and if you rub it this way, that's the thing. I'm like,
Right. So I
can you
mean
prove it? Like, I don't know.
that's when it's actually maybe even harmful or hurtful, or because it's just it's wasting time of the therapist and the patient.
I think
And arguably if they're strengthening.
this is where Adam Meekins like eats people's lunch. He's like, you can't prove
Yep.
it. Yes, we can. And he's like, show me. And then he brings the receipts, and people are mad because Adam says the F-bomb. It would help Adam to maybe curse less, but Adam's Adam. Like, and he's like,
no, it would not help him to curse less. He
if you actually, it wouldn't. If you actually listen to what Adam is saying, and you could ignore the bleeps and the F-bombs, he's like, you keep arguing this specific thing that we've all decided you can't prove, but you're like, but I feel like it is. And I'm like, a feeling's not proof. That's the crux of Adam's argument with manual therapy. It's like, you can't prove it.
So let me go back to what we had started to talk about just a little bit ago, because I want to get your guys' opinion on this. And the comparisons I had been making for people who haven't seen some of the posts. So we know Biodex has like $120,000 isokinetic machine. We know that there's great research talking about isokinetic testing and ACL return to sport and all this kind of stuff. But I don't have that machine. So
No.
I can do an evaluation for a patient who had an ACL reconstruction without the technology. If I bring the technology in, I should charge a premium price beyond what insurance allows for use of that technology. Now, I think most therapists would agree with that. They're like, okay, that makes sense. Then we go to the headsets from Vestibular. What is it? Vestibular First. And I'm like, look, it's the standard of care for you guys who are so deep into it, you can't imagine not using the headset. But I am a therapist. I have the licensure. I can do a horrible evaluation and still get paid. It is not the standard of care to have and invest in the headset. If I do use the headset, I should charge for access to the headset. You take that 3 or 4 levels deeper, and now we're like, okay, I've got I don't, but for therapists who have their OCS or any specialization, any extra certification, you take somebody like Dave, who's invested thousands of dollars, countless years. Like, why would I give that knowledge base away just because it's in my head for what I'm getting paid for through insurance, which is the basic standard of care? The OCS is not the standard of care. Why wouldn't I deliver a good enough standard of care treatment protocol covered by insurance, complete that plan of care, and then if the patient wants something more, then they can hire me out of pocket to deliver the extra value, the extra education, the extra training that I went through.
Yeah,
I know it gets dicey, but what do you guys think about something like that? Same person, but 2 different, modes of delivery.
Well, there's a couple questions there.
It won't work because the person who's like, oh, do you take my insurance and all that? They just think everything comes with that. They're assuming, Tony, in my opinion. I would love to hear what you think about your patients, but
yeah,
like people in I don't know, where I'm New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area, like if they're looking to use their insurance, their in-network, their Medicare, whatever, they just assume like, oh, I get all that. I would get all that. I get at least the licensed professional who has the minimum standard of care. But then I also get like, the hands-on, and I get like, if I want more hands-on, I could kind of say, hey, can I get some more hands-on work and
someone
whatever.
else is paying for it.
And someone else is paying for it. Yeah, I don't think that's possible. Especially, it's definitely not possible with the same professional. If anything, it's I go to some office for the in-network cover, whatever, and then if I want extra, I have to either go to a different professional in the building or some other building. I don't think it's even possible to have the same person say, I'll do XYZ, this defined thing for your insurance, but your insurance doesn't pay for this other stuff. So if you want this other stuff, it's this dollar amount.
Yeah. I mean, when someone put it this way in PT school, I was like, even I, as a consumer of healthcare and then coming to healthcare as a second career, once they said it like this, please don't confuse health insurance with healthcare.
Sure.
You pay for health insurance. Now, that doesn't mean it covers everything. Like that's the funny part too, is like, this would never, maybe it's a good comparison. When I have a warranty on my car, I know it covers lots of stuff, but not a flat tire, right? Flat tire is like sort of, it's on you, bro. Like, hey man, sorry. But like if your transmission drops out 5,000 miles down the road, we got that because it's within warranty. As long as you didn't violate the warranty, right? So when someone framed it that way, I sort of understood it a little bit better. Now let's get into the nuance, because I think that little thread on LinkedIn was good because it played out a lot of the things. So we'll take something like the Vestibular First goggles, right? So high level, used to work for them, right? They're great, right? They're fantastic. This thing should be, and I think will in 5 years, be the gold standard if you're working in vestibular care. You need to put people's eyes in the dark to see the things that you need to see. They're stethoscopes for your eyes if you have a vestibular issue, but you can't charge for it. There's no code for it. So if I were sending someone that I knew to a vestibular therapist, now that I know that because I never practiced in it, I would say, do they use goggles? Yes or no? To me, it is a red or green flag. You're winging it or you're using it. Now but should they charge extra for it? Well, they had to drop $2,500 for the goggles. So like in my mind, yes. Well, then should I charge extra for Post-it notes? Well, you understand how business works, right? Like you need to make money on the thing that you bought. The doctor isn't charging you every time he uses a stethoscope, but it's built into the cost, right? Like that's the way I look at it. So should it be a line item or should it just be covered under overhead? Like the doctor also needed a treatment chair and a plant in the corner and a clipboard, but they don't charge you every time they use the clipboard, but he needed it to write his note on, or back in the day. Now we're not using kids' clipboards or what we used to write. No. So you use the EHR. Do you charge for it? Yes. But it's not a line item. Like that's where I think I get it because it touches the patient. Are we charging for it? Yes, but no, but should we? I don't know.
So if you look at the definitions of certain CPT codes and what is covered, what is not covered, we look at something like a passive modality, like an e-stim.
Okay.
The supplies required for electric stimulation are covered within the definition of the CPT code. So I can't separately charge a patient for those pads. That is covered in the reimbursement.
Oh, I see.
But you know, we look at, okay, balance, we look at slip and trip, we look at, you know, a gait belt is enough equipment for me to take a patient who's been falling, give them a jostle, give them a little shove. I can treat them and work and bill gait training or neuro rehab or whatever the code I'm going to use for that is. I don't have to have a $30,000 Biodex reactive step trainer. You know, that is something separate. Now, the easy solution to this is what we did was we just said, okay, well, when you're on the Biodex, you're independent. It's not part of your therapy program. You pay a separate fee. It's $100 or $500 a month. You're not going to be working with a therapist. It's not part of your covered plan of care. But I do think we need to get into, well, even within a visit, am I going to allow my patients to spend more for a premium anything, you know? So, okay, we have a literally broken recumbent bike that has a manual timer because the electric timer on the bike doesn't even work, but the patients who are using it don't need anything fancy. They just need to move their legs. So it's like, well, I can throw that in for the price of the CPT code. But if somebody wants to use a $5,000 recumbent bike, you know, the broken one cost me $50. Shouldn't I have the capacity to allow them to pay a premium rate for access to premium equipment, premium knowledge, premium services that aren't specifically covered within the CPT code? I think we should, but I think we need to test that model a little bit and figure it out.
I think this comes from our internal desire to just give and give it. Like we buy into the everything should be free model too. And the insurance companies just sit there and laugh. Because they're like, they're going to give it away anyway, probably. And they're going to expect it. And there they are with the bleeding heart. I can help this person, right? And so when you start running it like that, not a business, then 6 months later, you get mad because you're not being paid for your skill, for all the things that you did, because you're not asking for it.
And I think it goes back to 20 years ago we were competing for patients. We're not
Right.
competing for patients anymore. There's more patients than therapists could ever treat. Like nobody is struggling for new patients unless you just are brand new into the profession and you don't have your marketing down. So there's more than a surplus of patients out there. We're not competing anymore, but we're stuck in the mindset of, well, I need to do more than the clinic down the street. The objection I get every single time about manual therapy, when I say, look, okay, manual therapy is probably a covered service for 1 or 2 sessions. Beyond that, it's not covered anymore based on Medicare guidelines. Well, Tony, the clinic next door is going to keep doing manual therapy and patients are going to go there. No, they're not, because the clinic who's doing manual therapy has got a 6-week wait list. They're not going to go there. And if the patient absolutely wants to go there, they're not the right patient for me anyway. But point being, just like we opened the show, $199 a month was a premium rate back in, early 2000s.
Yeah.
We are not competing for patients anymore. We don't have to over deliver on value like we used to try and attract them away from where they're going. They're going to come to us no matter what. The question is, now we're running an economy airline. We have to charge for the pretzels. We can't just give the pretzels away for free.
Do we have to though? And I couldn't find the video, but there was that video that I shared amongst us with the guy who was talking about the $1,000 steak.
No, we don't. We don't. I want. I want to get into that, but we only have 4 minutes left, so I don't want to.
Okay.
I think next time.
I mean,
I
we'll
love that
tease it.
video. I want to talk about that a lot more than 4 minutes.
So we can tease it, which is I think the reason that this conversation needs to be longer is we assume everybody wants to pay as little as possible instead of assuming people want to get as much as possible. And there's a Van Westendorp price model, right? There's a triangulation of those things. And if you are not selling, or if you are not offering $1,000 steak worth of value on the menu, no one's going to just give you $1,000. Like they're not, but they could if you can provide this much value. You don't have to, because Arby's is down the street and it's a very good model. It's still around. I actually learned it's called Arby's because they sell roast beef sandwich. Arby's. I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I was like, oh my God, it makes perfect sense. But I think it is a good conversation to have, because I think the question is, Tony does this, Dave does this. What you have to ask yourself pretty frequently, what business am I actually in? Because if I'm a billing service who provides service to an insurance company by way of their patients, different business. If I'm a concierge provider in New York City, different business. Same license though, right? Same umbrella term that we'd say physical therapist. Vastly different, which is great.
All right, that's Jimmy's parting shot. Dave, what do you got?
Parting shot, going back to the action figure. Parting shot, going back. I like how we deconstructed the Chris Miller offer. A lot of it is very clear. It shows exactly what you get, what do you get for what dollar amount, plus the video. So overall, I think it was a great offer, very clear. And you have to be clear for consumers to even understand it. Also, the side benefit that golfers see that and they're like, well, you're not talking about pain, you're not talking about insurance, you're not talking about a covered service, whatever. So no one's going to say, does my insurance cover this? Like it's obviously clear to the consumer this is something that's out of pocket, and they either will or will not pull out their credit card to sign up for that membership.
All right, guys. I think today was a great show. And I think the reason why it was so great was because you guys were bringing ideas and messages to us that we could discuss. Scott brought some great content. Chris Miller, whether he meant to or not, gave us some great ideas. Next week or Thursday, whenever, next visit, next show, I want to talk about Charles Lockwood put out a video about a $4,000+ walker that is just awesome. It's blowing up. He's getting great. Yeah. He got a demo unit. He showed how it works. This is the foundation of what things are to come for him. You guys bring us ideas. We will dissect them, break them down, disagree, agree. Just keep bringing it. 8:30 a.m. on Eastern time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Jimmy McKay, Dave Kittle, Tony Maritato. We'll see you guys on the next episode.